So the last 2 days you've been working on completing the square. I had told you guys that it was the most difficult thing you do all year. And what do you know? Someone way back in the past figured out how to do that completing the square in a nice handy dandy formula. So this whole time you could have been using a formula instead of completing the square. I know I'm a horrible person, but I had to teach you it because it's part of my job. So instead of all those steps in completing the square, it's in one nice formula for you to do today. I'm going to show you what the formula is and how to do some problems with it. And then there's your assignment, which is in Canvas today. I know I forgot to put the other one in yesterday, but it is there. Pages 586 to 587, 7 through 21 odd. So we have 2 videos. This is the one time of year where I really wish we could all be together at school. It's super fun. Yes, the songs are really lame, but everybody usually gets into them for some reason because they are really lame. And they start singing along like halfway through the song. There are 2 videos I'm going to play you real quickly. This one, for some reason, is the more favorite of the 2. It's the quadratic formula sung in harmony.
X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Okay, so that's the harmony version. And then there's one of a little girl named Emily, but if you look at the date it was posted, she's actually older than you guys are now.
So high, like
this is obviously not the formula right now.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Good job, Emily. What about the x equals?
X equals negative. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Okay, I hope that you all got as excited as Emily did after watching that. All right, then we're going to start out with number 15. So it is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That's not the quadratic formula. That's the basic standard equation of a quadratic. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So when you watched those videos, the a is the number in front of your x squared, the b is the number in front of your x, and the c is the plain old constant or number in your problem. So that's just a quick reminder of that's where you find your a, your b, and your c when you're doing these problems. So those of you that have it memorized in your brain or out loud, because I can't hear you, say what I'm about to write before I write it and test yourself. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over or all divided by 2a. There's the quadratic formula. You're going to use it over and over again today and next week on Thursday when we see each other again. We don't see each other for an entire week. So number 15, there's a few reasons why this one is difficult. Number 1, it's not in the standard quadratic equation form. Number 2, the numbers are really big, so it makes the math a lot more difficult to do. So here's what it looked like in the book: 5x squared minus 47x. And then the equals and the 156 is on the wrong side. We want the 156 to be on everything to be on the left, and we want the right to equal 0. So in this problem, you have to start off right off the bat with fixing it. So to write it in standard form, it really needs to be 5x squared minus 47x. And then if I bring that positive 156 over, it'll be negative 156. I've run out of space, but it should then say equals 0. Now it's in the proper format. And now I can start plugging in 5, any place the formula says A. Negative 47, the negative is there with it. Negative 47, any place that it says B. And negative 156, any place that there's a C in the formula. So that your very first step is to replace each letter, obviously not the X, that's what you're trying to solve for. Replace each letter with what's given to you in the equation. So I'm going to start writing down the quadratic formula again. X equals negative B, or the opposite of B. So B is negative 47. The opposite of that would be positive 47. Plus or minus, and then so that I don't have to keep going back and forth, I'm just going to use my phone. So B squared would be negative 47. Let me get my calculator open. Negative 47 times negative 47. I'm not going to bother with the negatives. A negative times a negative is a positive. So 47 times 47. So that's 2209 minus 4. A is 5 and C is negative 1. I keep not writing that one. Negative 156. Okay, so all I'm doing right now is plugging in the A, the B, and the C, and then 2 times A is 5. So there's my problem now. Does it look any better than it used to? It does not. It actually looks worse. But in order to get the answer, you've got to fill stuff in and do this problem. So again, the 47 comes from the opposite of B. The 2209 comes from B squared. The negative 4 is always going to be there. It's always part of your formula. The 5 comes from A. The negative 156 comes from C. The 2 is always there on the bottom. And the 5 comes from A again. So what you do next always is clean up everything that's under the square root symbol. Remember, that's called the radicand. So I need to clean up this radicand. And if you remember the rules of math say you have to multiply before you subtract. So I can't take the square root of a number that I don't know what the number is. There's so many numbers there. So normally I would take the square root first, but there's so much junk underneath it, I don't know what to do. So what I'm going to do is start by cleaning this up. So I'm going to have to do this stuff right there first, because I can't do something with the 2209 if I don't know what I'm supposed to be getting as an answer over to the side. So I know that a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm not going to bother putting any negatives into this problem on my calculator because there's 2 negatives there. That equals a positive when we multiply. So 4 times 5 is 20, and 20 times 156 is 3120. So this problem now turned into 2209 plus 3120, because that's what the stuff that I circled, that's what that equals when I multiply. So I'm now have on my calculator, the 3120 is already there. I'm going to add the 2209, and I get 5329. So here's my new problem. I'm going to write it in the upper right corner. So X equals 47 plus or minus the square root of 5329. And I realize I picked too big of a font, and now you can't really see that, but that's 5329. And then on the bottom, 2 times 5 is 10. What you want today, since it's not in digits, it's in the book, what you want today is that square root to not be a perfect square. If it's not, you can leave your answer as a square root. I did this problem last period, and unfortunately for you, it is a perfect square. So I'm going to have to do square root of 5329, and I get 73. So I'm going to try to erase this, and hopefully it doesn't jack my pen up again. Okay, so now I have X equals 47 plus or minus 73, all divided by 10. And because it's a perfect square, you have to keep going. So just like completing the square, those are 2 separate problems. It's really 47 plus 73 divided by 10. And the other answer would be 47 minus 73 divided by 10. So 47 plus 73 is 120, and 120 divided by 10 is 12. I'm going to put my answer in a big box here. And then 47 minus 73, I don't know. 20 would be 67. Is that 25? 47 minus 73. Let me just check real quick. That doesn't sound right. 47 minus 73 is 26. So negative 26 divided by 10 would be negative 2.6. So there are your two answers in the upper left corner in a box. My two answers would be 12 and negative 2.6. So number 13, the formula again is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And the problem in the book is 3x squared plus 19x, and there's an equals 154. So once you are doing this on your own, I wouldn't bother writing the way it is in the book. You know that's got to move over. So just write it with the number moved over already for you. And then that way you don't have to do an extra step of work. So A is 3, B is 19, and C is negative 154. So first step, plug and chug. So the opposite of B would be negative 19 plus or minus square root. I know my squares pretty well. 19 squared is 361 minus 4. A is 3. C is negative 154. Oh, this pen. I'm going to have to look for something better over this weekend. All right. And then on the bottom is 2 times A, and A is 3. So to save myself all this erasing, I'll just cross stuff out as I go. So your next step is always, once you've plugged everything in, is to always take care of that negative 4ac. You've got to clean that up before you can do anything else. So again, I've got a negative times a negative, so this is going to turn into a positive. Mostly when you do this formula, it's not. It's going to be minus something, because if you look at the formula, it says subtract. So the only way you're going to add is if there's a negative somewhere there for A or for C. So 4 times 3 is 12 and 154. So 12 times 154, except I hit 1054. All right, so 12 times 154, I'm going to cross it out here, is 1848. So now I need to add 361 and 1848. So I'm going to put plus 361. It gives me 2209. Well, we just did 2209 in the last problem. It was 47 squared. So again, I've got a perfect square. The only reason why I remember is because I remember 209 being in the last problem. So here's what our new problem is now. Negative 19 plus or minus 47 all divided by 6. The 6 is coming from that 2 times 3 that's at the bottom. The 47 is coming from 361 minus 4 times 3 times negative 154. So that 47 is the square root of all that stuff. Then you would take your calculator in your brain and you would separate these problems out. So negative 19 minus 47 would be, I'm totally running out of room, is negative 66 over 6. I'll come back and simplify in a little bit. And negative 19 plus 47 is what? 47 minus 20 is 27 plus 1 is 28 over 6. You can simplify both of these. So negative 66 over 6 is negative 11. And 28 and 6 can be divided by 2, so that would be 14/3 as your final answers. Remember not to put parentheses around these. It's not something you're graphing. It's not an ordered pair. It's 2 completely separate answers.